The FDA issued an alert yesterday saying that there's early data that suggests that Abbott Labs' rapid COVID-19 diagnostic test may be delivering some inaccurate results. The FDA alert comes a day after a small study at NYU said the test could be missing nearly half of positive cases, but Abbott refuted the study's claims. The test has been used at the White House to test the president, vice president, and other top officials routinely. Abbott said it would change its test restrictions to tell users that negative results are presumptive and should be verified with an alternative test for patients with signs of the virus. That matches the guidance given in the FDA alert. I've heard it's 85% accurate, which is not as good as some of the other ones, but it is fast. Joining us now, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former FDA commissioner. He's also a CNBC contributor, serves on the boards of Illumina and Pfizer. Doctor, the way this disease works, the way this virus works, we still don't know everything. We don't know when you even can test positive, even though you might have it, because it's novel, hence the word novel.
Well, I think your 85% is probably about right. So the study is probably a little off in terms of the accuracy of this test. The test, what we say about this test is it has a high specificity, meaning if it says you have coronavirus, you do. So it's accurate in that regard. But it has a lower sensitivity than some other tests like the PCR-based tests. So for a certain percentage of patients, it's going to say you're in the all clear. You don't have coronavirus when, in fact, you do. It's not a problem with the test per se. We understand that tests like this, these rapid tests, have a lower sensitivity than the tests you might send off overnight. It's how it's being used. In a doctor's office or a provider's office, if you use a test like this, and let's say you have 100 patients coming with coronavirus, and you can use a rapid, cheap test to say 85 of them have coronavirus right there in the doctor's office, that's a really good test. And then for the other 15 that you might suspect that they have the virus, but the test is negative, you'll know to send off a confirmatory test. And in fact, this machine is also used for flu and strep, and doctors use it that way. If a patient comes in with symptoms of strep throat, they test them, they don't have strep throat on this test, they'll send off a confirmatory test just to make sure that it's not a false negative. So the problem isn't the test per se, it's how it's being used. You don't want to use a machine like this to screen asymptomatic people where if the machine says you don't have it, you're not going to do any other follow-up. Also, I'll just point out, they're using this test to screen visitors in the White House, and they're using it to screen staff. We don't know if they're using it to screen the president or the vice president. They might be using PCR, more reliable platforms for that. We just don't know.
Okay. The PCR test, you would say that would detect even if you were exposed to someone like earlier that day, and you did have some copies of the viral genome or the virus was there, you think the PCR test is able to detect that? If you take that, there's no way you're getting a false negative.
No, that has some false negatives as well, okay. And it also depends on when you get tested. So there was a good study about 2 days ago. It looked at the viral load in terms of when you get tested, and there's sort of a peak early on, so you can capture someone early, and then it goes down a little bit, and then it comes back up. And so timing of testing is important here. That test can miss people as well. And just to be clear, the ID Now, the Abbott machine, does also look for the viral RNA, so it kind of works like the PCR test. It's just different in how it does it.